Hi, I'm Annie Meehan, and I just want to thank you and welcome you back to H3 TV, where we gather every Wednesday over lunch and we talk about how to stay healthy, hopeful, and happy in a world that's always changing. I'm so excited today because I have my dear friend Lisa Ryan with me. Lisa, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and who you are?
Sure, I am Chief Appreciation Strategist at Grategy. So I think that I'm the only person on the planet with that title. And I really work to help people find gratitude strategies because gratitude played such a big role in my life that I just figured it was my job to spread the word.
I love that. Well, Lisa, we don't have a lot of time today because we're both busy people, but tell us some of your tips. How do you stay happy? Give us 3 to 5 ideas. How do you stay happy, Lisa?
Well, the very first thing is to find some kind of gratitude practice because so often, we're hit with the media, we're hit with all this. If we're hanging around with not negative, toxic, horrible people, number one, get those out of your life. But looking for the good, and the best way to do that is with that daily practice of gratitude. So I start every day by taking out my gratitude journal. It takes less than a minute or two and writing down five statements that I'm grateful for. A lot of times I'm grateful in advance. So if I'm trying to close a deal or have a difficult meeting coming up or anything or traveling, I'm so grateful that all the travel gods cooperated today. So it really is looking for the good, erring on the side of choosing positive emotions because we've seen all kinds of health benefits when we do that. And again, looking at the people you hang out with. If you're hanging around with grouchy, negative people, guess what? You're not going to have as happy of a life as you could be if you're looking to connect with people who have a better, more positive energy.
I love that. A lot of great ideas, Lisa. Lisa, we all have bad days though. And I know sometimes my listeners are like, Annie, I am going through a lot of stuff right now at home, in my job, whatever. So when you're having a down day and you're tired, you don't feel like doing your gratitude journal in the morning, you've been up late, somebody's sick that you love, whatever it is, what do you do then? What do you do when things get challenging? How do you remember to stay happy? Or how do you shift your brain when you're feeling stuck or down?
Well, a lot of times it's feeling that emotion. It's not about slapping on a happy face and thinking everything's happy, happy, joy, joy. It is feeling whatever that anger, depression, sadness, whatever it is, feeling it, but not allowing yourself to be swallowed up by it. So if you're going to have a pity party, have like the best pity party ever, but do it for an hour. Do it for 2 hours. And when you start to feel the rawness of whatever that negative emotion is, then say, okay, I need to find one good thing. I just need to find one teeny tiny good thing. And when you can start there, then it makes it easier. So yeah, it is not, mushing down those negative feelings and never feeling them, but it's about not allowing yourself to get stuck.
Perfect. I love that. I also love that you give some people some grace there, Lisa. There are just times we have bad days. I love to have those occasional mental health days. I'm watching a sappy movie. I'm eating my popcorn and raisinets, just doing whatever I want to do. And then you get through it and you're like, okay, now I'm ready. But I allowed that grace. So I love that you do that because sometimes people just say, forget about it, move on. No, it's okay to
Right.
sit in it for a moment. For great. So when it comes to happiness, is it an inside job or is it an outside job? How do you stay happy? Is it from the inside out or outside in?
It really starts from the inside out
Okay.
because and that's where the gratitude practice comes in. I
Mm.
know in a lot of my programs people say, "Oh, Lisa, I used to have a gratitude practice, but I got away from it." I'm like, "Well, forgive yourself, move on, start over again." Because like you also said about people having crappy days, the nice thing about the journal, it's written down and they can turn back a couple pages and be reminded of the good things that are happening in their life. But from an outside job, surround yourself with beauty, go into nature. It's hard. I remember the first time that I summited a mountain. Okay, I took the gondola up and I walked about 200 feet. But at the top of the mountain, you cannot have negative thoughts. You cannot not know that there is a higher good, a greater power than you when you are involved in and looking at the vast beauty that surrounds you. So challenge yourself to when you are trying to get yourself out of those negative things from an outside job of just go somewhere happy, stand up, take a walk, go outside, do something.
I love that. I always think of the beach for me, but I know
Yeah.
mountains for other people, like the ocean. How can you not be happy? All
Well,
right.
the
So what's
oceans and for me in the summertime sitting outside, I know it's weird, but I love the sound of cicadas. It is my very favorite summer sound. Okay, locusts,
that's
whatever you want to call them.
that's awesome. But
But it's my happy place. I go outside and I listen to that sound and there's just to me there's something calming. Of course, I have not experienced millions of them coming out of the ground at the same time, which is a little terrifying.
well, I also think it's your grounding, right? It's a sound of home to you. You go outside your
Right.
home, you hear that, and it brings you back, especially because we do travel. Sometimes it's just like, okay, just to be back home and feel grounded. So that's probably your sound. All right. What's the difference, Lisa, between happiness and joy? Is there a difference? What's the difference?
It seems to me that happiness would be more of a constant, where joy is the excitement, is more exaggerated, is more, I don't know. When I think joy, I think of, I don't want to call it a one-time experience, but I think of something magical happening. I feel with like this exuberance of positive emotions, where happiness is just to me like serenity. It's just a calming kind of a constant.
I love that contentment. And that's why I love these interviews because I think of joy as like an inside job. Like I am a joyous person and a
Mhm.
happiness is circumstantial outside me. But I love
Oh,
how you
interesting.
explained it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we all relate to it differently. That's why I love the audience to hear. How do you think about joy? How do you think about happiness? What are some of the things that steal your happiness? What does steal your happiness? Does anything?
I'm really good at stealing my own happiness every once
Mm,
in a while,
yeah.
where I'm getting too busy with everything that I'm doing. If I get to the point where I'm traveling and I'm busy and I get away from my gratitude practice, notice the difference. I mean, I'm just like,
Mhm.
what is going on? I'm like, oh, get back to gratitude. So
Mm.
it's the pressure that I put on myself that sometimes I'm like, Lisa, you got to sit down and read your own books for goodness sake.
I love it.
But I'm pretty good. I have a pretty long fuse when it comes to letting, I don't really allow others to steal my joy. I do get impatient with people who don't take accountability. But again, sometimes you just have to love people where they are and know that it's comes back to you and how you're going to deal with the situation.
I love that. I love that you're paying attention. I think you're intentional and you're paying attention. You're like, hey, I can steal my own happiness if I get too busy and don't do what you're teaching other people to do, which is easy.
Right.
We teach what we need to know, right? So, what are
Yep.
some things you are happy about right now in your personal and your professional life? What are some things
Oh
going
man, I have so many good things going on right now. My husband, who was furloughed last year for 8 months and looked for some jobs at that point, wasn't able to find anything. We saw a whole lot of age discrimination going on.
on?
And the day before his 60th birthday, he was offered a job and can actually end his career with a company that he really likes and they like him because he's been pretty miserable. So because I love what I do and I'm always happy with my career choice, but Scott's always kind of been the stable one, the one with the salary and the benefits.
Yes.
I'm so thankful that he has the same opportunity to be around people who really appreciate him. My cat Tinkerbell, I was teaching a full day program yesterday. And at the beginning of all this virtual stuff, I used to think that it was really unprofessional to bring cats into the video. but now, she just brings me joy. I'm doing a virtual program and she'll jump up and sit in my lap. And unless you see her black tail going like this, you never know.
If you're out there not feeling hopeful, listen to Lisa and I. There are things coming. There's good stuff coming for you. All right. What else do you want us to know about happiness? I know we don't have a lot of time today, but what's a story or a thought about happiness that if somebody's listening saying, Lisa, I do not feel happy, give me something. Give me something to feel good about. What do you have for them?
Well, I started my gratitude practice in 2009 and I was really consistent with it. I just did it with a couple of my friends and I noticed all the changes that started happening. And then, when things go and it kind of, you get tested. So a year into it, the short story is I was in medical sales. I was having a great career, well on the way to winning the sales trip. And I was invited to an organizational announcement where me and 9 other people, our jobs were eliminated via group conference call. No, thank you. No, we're sorry to see you go. It was just kind of like, don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. And I came back to that. I mean, it was devastating. I was physically shaking in my office and crying and not knowing what to do, and having to call my husband and let him know that my very lucrative medical sales job went away. And of course, his first comment was, "What did you do?" But that's beside the point. So, and I just sat there and I'm like, well, I've been keeping this gratitude practice for a year now. Does it work? And that's when I sat and I did a little meditation and I asked myself the question, what can I find to be grateful for under these circumstances?
Mhm.
And that's when my goal list from 1989 popped into my head, and it had about 80 things on it, buy a house, check it, done that. But the second one was to write a book. And the third one was to become a professional motivational speaker.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's the practice. It's a gratitude practice, because what it does, it doesn't have to be, yay, I won the lottery. Yay, I met the love of my life. It's these little things that we can appreciate during the day that we get into the habit. So when things turn around and suck, you can turn around and say, you know what, this is what I can find to be grateful for. So it's the practice of gratitude. I can't stress that. It's tied in so closely to happiness, and that's how you get there.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you looked for the silver lining in the midst of the challenge, right? So when people do lose their job, is there a better job waiting? Should you start your own business? What did you dream about 10, 20 years ago? So I love that. Great. So Lisa, we know people are going to love you because we love you. Where can we get a hold of you? Are you on social media? Do you have a website? Tell us, how can the audience get a hold of you if they want more of Lisa?
Sure. My website is lisaryanspeaks.com. And but the best way to get a hold of me is on social media. I am all over LinkedIn, and I am constantly posting tips videos and podcast episodes and articles. And that is a really great way. Just make sure you send me a little note that you heard me on Annie's show, so I know to accept the request. I am on Facebook. I am on a couple of the other things. I have a YouTube channel under My Grategy on YouTube, and I have a couple hundred videos there. So all over the place. There's lots and lots of Lisa Ryans on the planet, but there's only one Lisa Ryan from Grategy.
Grategy. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for this brief version of H3 TV, where we invite people to be healthier, more hopeful, and happier. We appreciate you being with us. We appreciate you, Lisa, being with us. And please not only take care of yourself and be healthy, hopeful, and happy, go spread it in the world. We could use more. Thanks again for being with us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.